Soul Disconnected podcast, the platform designed to reconnect us, bring us back to a common ground to understand one another. Open about our flaws and failures, focused on growth and positivity. The flame in the dark that burns in our soul. Check. Yeah. Yeah, you're now tuned in to Soul Disconnected podcast. I'm When Tony Writes. This is episode 12, and I have a special guest today, Ry Reed, American poet, author, and amazing person.
Thank you.
How you doing today?
Man, doing good. Like I said, I woke up early, gymmed, worked out, jogged. Yeah, I'm on a vibe right now. I'm up.
Oh, that's definitely good. Yeah, you seem like you're glowing. You look like you feel good. You're happy to be up and moving.
Well, it's called focused.
That's good.
Yeah. That's
it's really hard to be focused in this generation.
Social media. That's what it is.
You know what's crazy is I openly admit I have a problem with social media. For real. Like I need to cut it.
Now you got to. I'll do it all anytime. Family will reach out to me. I'll turn it off for about a week or so, and I'll come back to it if I need to.
Yeah, that's something I definitely want to do this year. Start cutting back.
Yeah, focus. Like I said, it's the only way it's gonna happen. Like unless you turn that thing off, it's gonna consume your time. Like
really?
Yeah, because nowadays, like shoot, you'll look at a post. And you'll find yourself like 3 hours later, like
right, and then you look up and you're like, oh, it's dark now.
Right, I was gonna say.
It's crazy how that happens, right? It's just like
horrible.
it's a rabbit hole that doesn't seem to ever end.
Sometimes that's why I have to turn it off and not look at it.
So, where are you from?
Me, Fontana.
Yeah. Fontana.
I grew up here. I was born in Covina. Then my father moved us to West Covina.
Nice.
Then after that, we moved to Ontario. So I grew up majority in Ontario. Then the last half of it in Fontana, not too far from here. Mm-hmm. So that was the grow up off of Southridge, around Michael DRC.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So what was childhood and early upbringing like for you?
Oh man, my parents were crazy. I love my parents. Very, very strict. Like my mother, she's an educator. Mm-hmm. So when it came to schooling and
that was a priority.
Yeah, it was, and I hated school.
That's crazy, being that you're a writer and you love to create.
Yeah, you would think that writing was my subject growing up, and that's what I focused on. No, I hated writing. I hated books.
Wow.
So yeah, I never focused in school. If I was in school, I was writing comics. I was that person in the corner. Like I had a little stack of white piece of papers, and I would write comics all day and just do stories.
So you'd illustrate and then have like little words or little
little
stories.
Things just all day. You don't even ask me what school was like for me all up to high school. I don't remember because I wasn't there, but I do remember doing comics and telling stories. Then I would hand off my comics to other people in the classroom. But now looking forward, I'm like, okay, that was storytelling. That's how I got into it.
Nice.
Yeah, but I would have never known.
You didn't even know that was gonna be like your outlet to get to that point.
I didn't even understand that was a gift.
Nice.
You couldn't have told me that because I thought growing up and where I grew up was it was either you're gonna be a doctor, a lawyer, you're gonna be some type of athlete, or you're gonna do something in government, but something with your hands. It's physical because that's what my parents grew up doing. So I figured that's what it was. I never knew that storytelling or writing was a possibility for me. So I never, it was in a foresight.
And at what point did that become a reality for you?
Man, probably when I was in college. I was 20 years old. I was failing college too. I have my report card still. I had, like 4 Ds and 1 C-. I was proud of that C- too. But
you must have been stressing at that point, huh?
Nah, not even. I didn't care. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, school was not my thing until I got older, but I took it was a writing class. It was a 1B writing, right? So it was like, advanced writing. And I get into the class, and the teacher's old as heck, but he makes us read every week. So it's a new book. So it's the first time I actually had to force myself to sit down and do actual reading for
Mm-hmm.
fun, though, do reports on it, then around that time, he would make us do stories.
Nice.
So it would be every week on Friday, a story would be due that
Mm.
you would have to come up with and like create characters and content and world building. And it was the first time I was like, I'm feeling this.
How many books do you think you had to read in the course of that class?
Maybe 30.
Damn.
30, yeah.
These were
about
lengthy
30
books
weeks.
too?
Yeah, I read Wuthering Heights. I read, gosh, The Hobbit. They made us do that. Like The Hobbit, the thick one,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, I read the original Oz,
Nice.
Frankenstein. So I went real old school. Moby Dick. Not like
Nice.
the current one, the
Oh,
old
the original.
school.
Nice.
Then we did Shakespeare. So that's kind of how I kind of, discovered poetry as well. But I was just reading Shakespeare all day and trying to understand these things.
Mm-hmm.
So, it really just got me to really look at different versions of literature, good literature, though,
Mm-hmm.
And it exposed me to it in all the right ways.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know where I would be without that class. That teacher changed my life.
Wow, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what's crazy is like some parts of our life, we have people that come in our life
Yeah.
that may not be family or friends or whatever, that they make a deep impact in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting. It could be a coach, it could be a mentor, or it could be, like you said, a teacher.
Yeah.
And it's a trip because some teachers could see the gifts within someone, and they take a little extra time to put effort into somebody or a child or an apprentice because they see like the potential in your growth, and
they do.
It's crazy when people do that.
Nah, I'm grateful extremely for some of the good ones. Some of the bad ones, no.
Yeah. Some of them were a pain in the butts for sure.
Oh man, I had this one teacher. He was my senior year. I took another advanced writing course. I got a C- in it though. This teacher, same thing. He was trying on me to get me exposed to. I was probably too young for it. I wasn't ready. But first time I actually write a story in that class, the guy tells me, writing is not for you. This is not your thing. So 2 years later, I had it mentally set that I was never going to do this because of that guy.
Wow.
Yeah. Then I get another teacher that tells me, oh, this is something that you should be doing. So it's like night and day. It switched my perspective.
Wow, it's crazy the power of words and how it affects people. Like when people could say something to you and it could change, completely alter your course if you allow it to get stuck in your head.
Oh yeah.
And I think there's a lot of us out there who words changed us and molded us, and then you got to break free from that. And that's why I honestly like your writing. It's bold, and and you do have a lot of pieces like on a Pink Grapefruit. You have a lot of pieces that are like to break free from the norm or not to feel trapped into anything.
Well, you can.
And like, I think that's great. I think that's great to be able, because there's some people that aren't strong. So sometimes we need little reminders like notes or poems or affirmations that help us get out of that mindset of feeling trapped or feeling like you can't.
Yeah. No, that's essentially, that's all it is. It's like, most people think I wrote the book for people. I actually wrote Pink Grapefruit and my new one for me. Every morning while I was writing these other books, I would write little daily aspirations and things that I was struggling with, little motivators. So each poem was like a close to home for me to get my ass out of bed, right?
Exactly.
Get up early and to sit down and really harness my energy into something that's positive for me. And, it's hard most days, nowadays it's hard, getting to a career. It's hard trying to do something completely different that no one in your family has ever done. And, at times, you will feel alone, which is good. You need to be alone. But, if you can learn to, applaud yourself and be your biggest fan, you won't need anybody.
Exactly.
So that's what Pink Grapefruit was. It was a fan book for me.
Nice.
Yeah, to get me up.
Yeah, that like you said, that's dope that you would so focused. Like you just get up and it's like, really though, because every day you wake up, you're pressed for time no matter what. And something's inevitably gonna happen or come up and you have to go out and run around.
Yeah.
So making sure you take an extra couple minutes or a couple hours out of your day to be like, no, we're turning everything off and we're focusing on me time.
Yeah, it's me.
And I think that's like extremely important. And I think
Mhm.
that's dope that you're able to do that. And that's
Mhm.
inspiring because it's like I I need to learn to do that a little bit better.
Mm.
Cause it's funny. There's like waves that come in my life, and I feel like
Mhm.
there's times where I'm super super focused, and then there's times I feel like I totally am ejecto and I'm gone, like I'm out the window,
You're out
and
of
my
it.
mind's out of it,
Yeah,
And I just think it comes with like life's waves that comes, but
it
working
is.
on focus is a lot better. I feel like I got ADD, but I'm not a doctor, so I can't self-diagnose anything, but.
Yeah, yeah.
It's interesting. So, the difference between my podcast is like I go a little deep, not too far off the deep end, but I
Mhm.
like to ask my guests questions that make us not really uncomfortable, but just make us really look within ourselves. And I would like
Yeah, go
want to
for
know if
it. Yeah, I'm
do you
open.
have
Go ahead.
any fears or insecurities, like, or and what
Ooh,
are they?
gosh, I think if you're a human and you've been alive, you have to have
Oh, for
insecurities. You
sure.
have to have fears.
Hmm.
It would be weird if I didn't. So I'm not about to come over here and be like, yeah, I'm heavenly. And you sound like, oh,
Yeah.
I glow every day and
Yeah.
it's
No.
situated. No, no, I have a few. Like, my biggest insecurity is probably this isn't going to work, or,
Hmm.
because I feel like any entrepreneur has that thought,
Hmm.
which is like, I'm putting all this energy into this. Is anything going to come out? Or is anyone going to see this? Or is anything going to happen? And I did that for the first 3 years of me writing.
Hmm.
I had zero feedback, no love. I can tell you, my first book I wrote, I sold 2 copies. 2 copies. I'll say it louder. Two, right?
Hmm.
I have more than 2 family members. That doesn't even include my
That's a
parents or
message right
anything.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Then fast forward with pink grapefruit. My first weekend, I sold over 100.
Nice.
But that was my hardest insecurity because I'm my worst critic.
Hmm.
I don't care what people think about me.
Hmm.
I've long gotten rid of that, worry.
Hmm.
But I think about what I think about me, or if I'm doing something right. And that's one of my fears is me quitting.
Yeah.
you know because it's like the minute you put yourself out there and people know that you're doing something right, people will come to you. People are
Yeah.
weird though. People will come to you and ask you, how's it going, da da da.
Hmm.
Could you imagine saying, yeah, I gave up?
Yeah, trust me.
Yeah.
That
you
that's
know
that's
like
I can relate to you so much on that.
yeah,
That's a big
that's a
thing.
fear. I'm afraid of that.
Very
And
true.
you got to go to the cookout and people are looking at you like you're like, you gave up? I thought you were a writer like that.
You know what's so crazy is that there's people, they may not be the most supportive all the time, or
Yeah.
they'll come up to you and ask you those type of questions like
Mhm.
you said, but the thing is I think the majority of people
Mhm.
will ask you these type of questions because they're counting on you to not be the one that gave up. Whether
Yeah.
you're a family, friend, a coworker,
Mhm.
somebody, they're hoping that you're that person that just kept on with their
Mhm.
dream and they kept on the course, because everyone, you see it. Everyone
Yeah.
derails in a sense, not necessarily for the worse, but their path and their career
Yeah.
changes and then they go that way. But they're seeing you, that little light, and they're just
No,
like,
they are.
"How's it
I
going?
feel it.
How's it going? What's next? What's going on in your life?
See,
What's the
we call
newest
it the
thing?"
golden child where I'm at.
And it's interesting, and
Mhm.
it's a blessing to be that
Mhm.
person or that light, or
Yeah.
to be that light in the room. But it's
Mhm.
also intimidating because you don't
Mhm.
always have your best days, and you're not
No.
always glowing, and you're not always
No.
happy about this career you're
No.
chasing, and you're
No.
not always happy about what you're creating.
No. Yeah, I don't always
And
use highlighter. I'm like, some days it has to come off, no makeup. But
yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it's tough too, because you're right. No one in my family is really rich.
Mhm.
We grew up off hard times.
Mhm.
All my family, from all different directions and stuff. And they do look up to you, and they do see you working. And the minute you do make it, or whatever they feel like whatever make it is for you, they will aspire to try something else. But there always has to be that one person who's that first beacon, that
Mhm.
that example to go off beyond that fence that your family, your friends, or your household has created for you.
Like the norm,
Mm-hmm.
to step out of the comfort zone and not just get,
Yeah.
not that there's anything wrong with any career
Mm-hmm.
choice or safety net, but
Yeah.
to be willing to step beyond the norm
Mm-hmm.
and to create your own
Yeah.
your from scratch
Essentially.
and it's hard for people to do.
That's why most
So
people don't do it.
exactly. And when you step out of that and now like the risk is
Mm-hmm.
100%, it's 100% risk and
Mm-hmm.
the odds are against you, it's really you're
They
pressed for
have to
time.
be. Yeah,
Exactly.
it has
But
to
I
be.
feel like that's what molds, entrepreneurs, and that's what makes
Uh-huh.
people like more confident and more like hungry to like pursue it.
Oh, don't even get me started on the hungry. Like, I like to hang out. I told you before, I like to hang
Mhm.
out with people who are doing better than me.
Mhm.
And those people who are doing better than me, same thing. They were the first people in their family to make a meal,
Mhm.
but they struggled.
Mhm.
You got to work 2, 3 jobs. You have to come home from work and you got to stay up until maybe 2, 3 because you have to finish it.
Mhm.
You told people something was coming out or something was, being created from you. Then you got to do it all over again the next day. And sometimes you got to be broke. I was broke when I was first writing my
Mhm.
first book. I was struggling, car beat up, this and that. I'm trying to motivate people with poems. I'm like, man, I need this poem more than you do.
Really, that you know
Yeah.
what that's intense right there. That's
Yeah.
some real talk because you know you're trying to uplift yourself while trying to
Mm-hmm.
create, and it's like, dude, everything else around you could be like falling apart, and you're trying to hold it all together.
Basically, you are the glue. You have to be
Yeah,
your own glue.
man, that is interesting. That is really
Mm-hmm.
interesting. You know what's crazy is perception too.
It
The
is
perception,
perception.
the way
That's a good
everyone, the way
word.
the world looks in at everything, especially like I said, we were just discussing in the beginning how social media, everyone, it's a perception, and I think
Mm.
so many people, and like I think people should know by now, obviously at this point, it's not always what you see.
It's fake.
Yeah, it's
Let's just
like
say it like that. It's fake.
the image or video is from a particular time that was probably pre-recorded
Yeah.
or from another time, and it's like it's a moment in time, just
Yeah.
a
No,
moment in
it's
time,
fake.
and it's like it not necessarily a facade, but it could be that person's moment, but it doesn't mean
Yeah.
it's their entire moment 24/7.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's false reality because it's not like, you get up every day and you have a butler or you're at this really nice restaurant and like you're wearing, you're shopping at the Gucci store. Bro, relax. You got paid a little extra and you went in there and bought a Gucci belt. And,
Yeah,
yeah, your mom took you to that restaurant. So you need to relax.
and
But
it's funny because I just think like it's funny and it's sad at the same time because I think so many people try to set their standards and the bar a little too high,
mhm.
and they see this facade and they see the perception,
Mhm.
assuming like, oh, this is how I'm supposed to live or this is how I'm supposed to get it, and
No.
it's like, no, that's
No, that's how you end up being broke,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I found out this last year that the issue with society is that we live outside our means,
Oh, big time.
right? We like to eat out every day. We like to go shopping. We like to go to Zara. We like to have like the best makeup. We like to do this and this and shop at Hobby Lobby. Come to find out, like the 1%, the millionaires, they don't shop there. They're at Walmart.
For real.
They're at
You
Walmart.
you wouldn't even recognize a millionaire. You wouldn't be
No.
able to tell because you know what? They're driving a
No.
regular car and got some regular
Corollas.
clothes on. And
Yeah.
you wouldn't even assume that they had
They
money.
don't do that. We do that because we think that we have to look a certain way to show off to people. Millionaires are focused on themselves and their business. They have nothing to prove to you.
Mhm.
So they're fine rocking their Crocs. Go ahead and buy like the latest pair of Jordans that cost you like a G. Go ahead and in that line.
Mhm.
But the difference is that millionaire, he's
Mhm.
going to use that $1,000 to put it back into his business.
Exactly.
We don't think long term. We don't have the mindset of generational wealth, but that just comes from what we grew up from our parents
Yeah.
and their parents and
It's kind of just doing the best you can with what you know. You know
Yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
what you
And that
think.
and that's there's no really wrong or right about it. It's
Mhm.
just like you're only gonna do what you know and
Yeah,
try your best to make it better for the next generation. But like you
yeah,
said, generational wealth is important.
yeah.
And doubling up your money, doubling up your
Mhm.
investments. It's like it's super important in
No
this generation.
savings. It's that's what I'm saying. It's the biggest thing I had to take out of 2019. I had to change my habits and change who I wanted to be for the future.
Hmm.
And I assessed my family. I assessed my own bad habits, and a lot of it was shopping and trying to live this type of lifestyle. 'Cause,
Yeah.
you make a few bucks off something, you think, okay, I can go do some stuff. And it's like, in the long run, it's like, we're waiting for the next book. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm like, you got a few bucks in your account. Like, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
But, looking at these people, I've seen wealthy people argue over something costs $1 more than they thought it would cost and fighting for that dollar, whereas, typical 98%, they'll be like, oh, I'll pay that. That's fine. A little extra, whatever. Just, just giving it away. But it's like once you start redefining what you want and your goals and where you want to go, and you have a new mission plan, like a new mission statement, you no longer, will bend to those old habits and those old, ways of living that most people go by. That changes, because it has to change, because you're trying to get to the next step. Most people are right here at this first or second step because they're comfortable. I don't want to be comfortable anymore. I want to go to a different level that no one in my family has ever seen. I want to touch a mill before I hit a certain age. I don't want to say I let people know, but
yeah.
I'm trying to.
No, and it's good to have that goal, because you want to be able to not necessarily just like living comfortable, because everybody's views on comfortability and how they want to live is completely different. But that's a great goal to have, and not only that, to be able to have an income to save, something to rely on, because we really know when something could happen and you're gonna need that.
You do.
And it's always good to have that, because that too can move forward and be part of your family in the future, and another piece of investment. So
that's what I'm saying. Me writing, this is an investment. I love Grant Cardone. I follow him. I've read a lot of his books, and I've seen those things. And the best thing I learned from him, which is cash flow. You want to make money not based off hourly. You got to get away from that,
residual income.
Yeah, because you get stuck in it. How many hours are in a day? 24. How many hours can you actually work without dying from fatigue or your health, right? Like, maybe the max is 12. Maybe you could do it for 3-4 days, but you're mentally done.
It's killing you a little bit at a time.
And that's what I used to do. I used to think that I could max out my hours by working like that. Now it's like, I want to make money sitting down somewhere, right? Even if it's $1, I want to make sure that I'm sitting somewhere and I'm making $1, and that's what books are, really doing for me. Amazon.
And what's dope about it, and about what you do, is the fact that the investment you're making into a book is not only going to help your pocketbook and your future, it's going to be a mark in history.
Yeah.
So sad to say, but when we expire and you're no longer here and we're gone, you're gonna
be a robot. I'm gonna figure out something.
Chappy,
right? Let's just say I'll figure it out.
What's crazy is that your books will live on.
Yeah.
And your memory will live on, and everything that you leave behind on this earth, it's gonna be printed and will live on digitally, physically, and in people's memory and everything. It has a life of its own, and it's an endless. As long as we're alive and nothing crazy happens, and these things will be passed down, you'll always be a part of history.
That's what I wanted.
And that's what's dope. You're leaving a legacy behind.
That's been my word. It is. It's a legacy.
Goals. Huh?
Yeah, it is.
Goals.
It's my last name. I'm trying to make something of that last name. So whenever I have kids, or if I have nieces and nephews who have that last name Reed, or just whatever, they have something to fall back on. But that's like I said, that's the problem with these generations. The reason why we have to work is because no one ahead of us laid any foundation for us to step on.
Exactly.
Right. So now, looking forward, we have to build something so they can step on. So if I have a granddaughter and she wants to get into the writing industry, or she wants to be a storyteller, or she wants to do publications, whatever, that door is open. She can step on something now. And I'm trying to get into other avenues. So
Reed Publishing.
That's
there you go.
That's what I'm saying.
Hey, honey, you wanna start your book? We can get you set up right now.
We're done. Yeah, whatever anyone in my family wants to do, I want that to just be the first step.
And that's what's dope about you having a goal of hitting a mill, because
Mm-hmm.
now you have this venture capital, or a
Yeah.
little portion of that you can
Yeah.
go off and start little small investments and things, and
Yeah.
have people get their foot in the door. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, like you said, sometimes we do think money is the answer to, like, oh,
It's not.
we need money to do this. But even with no money, you can still make your dreams happen and things
Oh, you
happen.
can.
But with that little push, you don't want to kind
Mm-hmm.
of just hand it out. But with that
Yeah.
little push of money, it can set someone in a better position,
Yeah, you
especially
can.
if they have that product there already.
Yeah, it makes all the difference because I know people don't like Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what it is. But his father gave him a couple mil
Mm-hmm.
to start off his business. Imagine if he didn't have that.
It'd
Trump
be.
Tower would not have existed. And you look at like Willow Smith and Jaden Smith.
Mm-hmm.
If their father had not laid down something for them, they wouldn't be here,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you just gotta look at it like that. What legacy, what platform, what step are we going to create for this next upcoming generation?
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're coming out and you're trying to be an entrepreneur, you can't think about you and today.
Mm-hmm.
Today is already happening. It's long gone. I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking about next week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm mentally right now, I'm thinking about 2029.
Mm-hmm.
What am I going to do to make sure that in about 9-10 years that there's something there? Not just for me, but for somebody else coming up, under me.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm thinking about.
And that I think, to me, like I said, like, everyone's entitled to their own opinion and
Yeah.
everyone's entitled to their own belief, but I'm on the same boat as you, because like, so many people are like, oh, live for today because tomorrow may not come. And it's like, I do understand that.
Yeah.
But I do know that tomorrow may come and that next week may come
Yes.
and then a couple years from now may come. So I'm really not trying to waste the time that I have and just be like, screw it, we're not going to live tomorrow.
No,
Because so many
I'm
people are just
planning.
like, F it. And they just like want to do whatever they want.
Yeah, you see
So,
them, like I said, they're the people who end up working at Walmart and they're like, no offense, but they're 80 years old and they're working at Walmart and they had no plan.
Exactly.
They didn't do anything to set themselves up for the future, and they ended up working a job that is not beneficial to who they are and it's not going to financially sustain them
Mm-hmm.
or going to make them feel comfortable.
Exactly.
That's just what it is, unfortunately. So it's like you and yourself, you have to do it for you. And if you grew up broke, right? You grew up hungry. I grew up hungry, right? My parents did a good job feeding me, but the minute I graduated school, there were days I was hungry. Like I was starving.
Yeah.
Like up in Riverside, there's like little planting fields of oranges and whatnot. You've ever been that hungry where you're out there like grabbing fruit or you're recycling or you're living at that low, then you'll never want to be poor again, right?
Exactly.
Once you've
had a taste of it, you don't ever want to go back to that.
You'll
again.
never go back.
There's people that always been there and never got a little bit above it.
Yeah.
Or there's people who've grown up decent, and then lost it, and you don't ever want to go to ground zero again. Like once
I'll
you've
never
seen
do that
that, you're
again.
like, no, I'm not. You're pretty much gonna do anything it takes to make sure you never go backwards.
That's
again.
what I'm saying. That's why I'm fine with working 21 hours a day. I might sleep for 3-4 hours. I'll take naps here and there, like maybe 30 minutes, but I'm up. If I get tired, I go work out. If I get a little exhausted, I'll sit outside and I'll read a book. But regardless of that, I'll do whatever it has to be done for me to keep moving. That's what it is. You got to keep moving, even if you're tired, even if you're broke, even if life is kind of getting away from you, even if you lose people. Keep moving. Don't stop.
No excuses.
No, there's no excuses. Yeah, you only lose when you quit. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you suck at it, right? But if you quit, you're done.
You already, because then what else are you gonna quit on?
Yeah,
what
you're
else
an
are
op.
you gonna just make an excuse for? And that's what's a good thing. Like I like how I said excuses, because there's times where you have a good excuse and a good reason why you shouldn't do something, or that you got caught up with something else, but we try to justify why we can't do certain things, and it's funny. And I think that's like the thing I try to catch myself in last year. Like I said, I was reflecting, was to cut the bullshit and to stop myself before I try to make a justified excuse for why I couldn't do something or why I couldn't do this or do that. Like, no, it's all excuses. It's all excuses at the end of the day. All of it is excuses.
Yeah.
So it's like saying you can't, or trying to make up a reason why you cannot do something is just a pure out excuse. I don't care what your
Yeah,
situation is,
it
what your
doesn't
financial
matter.
situation is.
No,
Like,
it doesn't matter. And like that's the cool thing. Social media has its good ends and its bad ends, but thanks to social media, you literally can be whatever you want to be because you have the connections. Like, back in the day, I couldn't get in contact with Beyonce,
uh-huh.
right? Not that I want to work with her or anything, but I could not. Now I can DM her,
Yeah, really though.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
you want to be on the Oprah show? Well, you probably won't be on it, but still, you can DM Oprah and she can shout you out if she wants to. And that can
Really.
make all the difference, right? It's like the Oprah touch, right? You want to meet the top executive down at Disney and you want to promote your movie or your screenplay, you can hit them up through the DM,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And they can see what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everything and everyone's accessible. As much as it
Yeah,
seems impossible or hard to do, it's there.
it
And it's
is.
like you're gonna get a million no's before you may get that one yes,
Mm-hmm.
but before you may not have even been able to get the opportunity unless you were rubbing shoulders with some of those
Yeah.
people. Now it's like it's endless
Yeah,
opportunity.
you can find out where they're at. Everyone posts where they're going, so you can be where they're at. You can hear what they hear. You can read what they're reading.
Mm-hmm.
You can contact them. You can send them stuff. Like,
You could follow them.
yeah, you can follow them.
You could stalk them.
Right? I would encourage that. Like, that's
I'm
prison
over
right
here.
there. He said that, not me. But
You seen the show
you can
on
learn
Netflix?
from these
It's
people,
crazy.
right? Yeah, Netflix and there's YouTube, so you can copy these people. And I recommend that, to anyone who's listening to this is if you want to do something, whether it's music, whether you want to be a rapper, whether you want to build computers, there's a YouTube video on it. And you
Oh
can,
yeah,
yeah, and
YouTube's blown up.
it
Like
is.
it's
Yeah,
like the tutorial heaven
it is.
for
It's
anything you want to do.
perfect. It's perfect. 10 years ago, they didn't have that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So they couldn't. Now you can legit build a home, right? From
Really though.
YouTube and from learning. But that's the problem with most people. They're not disciplined enough to actually sit down, watch something, learn how to do it, right? Read about it and implement it. That's what I'm saying. It's
You know what's so
implementation.
funny that you said that is like there's so many people that are like they get fascinated. I'm sure with what you do and
All day.
how'd you make a book on your
I have
computer?
10 unreplied ones. Exactly what
You
you're
know,
saying.
like how do you do this? How do you do that? And it's people that I come across, people I work with, all kinds of stuff, and I'm just like, I just took the time and I watch videos, or I open up the software and I'm messing with it and messing with it, and it's frustrating. Like you don't see all that, you just feel like,
Yeah.
oh, you know how to do everything, or you do this, or you got hookups with this. Like no, I put the work in.
Right?
I had to wake up and stress myself out, like looking at endless videos, reading endless material, manuals, studying, going to seminars, doing so many different things
It
to
takes
learn this.
years to get that.
And people just want that instant, like,
Nah.
oh, this has got to, like, I can figure this out overnight.
It's like us millennials, right?
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
it's the entitlement, maybe, or just feeling
It's
like.
just popcorn. It's a popcorn society. We're used to getting it now. You're hungry? Postmates, right? You want to go grocery shopping? Hit up Target.
Yeah.
They'll bring it to your car, right? We're used to instant, but the reality is like we want what our parents have. We want what these millionaires have, these billionaires have. We want what Jeff Bezos has. It took those people 20 years plus to even see anything. We're noticing their progress now, but we don't realize that before all this, they were sitting in their room and planning, right? They were jotting stuff down. They were coming up with titles and names and products, and nobody was around to applaud them, right?
Exactly.
And that's what you have to understand. It's like you have to be there to get over here. And are you okay with doing it for 10, 15 years, right? Like most people, everybody wants to make $1 million, but no one wants to do the work to actually make it.
Exactly. And like you said, who do you know that's willing to do that 10 to 20 year trial and wait, and something may not come of it.
Yeah.
But hopefully within that time period, you've had enough discipline to put money to the side, enough discipline to set up investments in other ventures. But that's key. Like who out of everyone out here, who's willing to sacrifice the 10 to 20-year climb that's
The
going to be.
1%. That's what it is. It's the 1%.
Exactly. That's what separates you from others, is that your willingness to just be like, screw it.
It's the only way. it's the only way you're
You
going
must be
to
watching
get
The
great.
Mandalorian, huh?
I love that show. Baby Yoda.
This is the way.
This is the way. I like right now. I have spoken, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
funny. That's what was funny when you were like, this is the way. This is
It
the only way.
is.
It
This
is.
is the only way you're gonna get anything. It took me 4 years to create that book. 4 years, right? And most people might think, okay, it's a few pages, da da da. 4 freaking years to get to that point where I sold more than 100 books. I've sold more than that, but to get to that, and most people can't do it.
That's
you know?
real, dude. That's
Yeah.
real, because I was stressing myself out to like finish a book in months, and I'm like, dude,
Oh
what am I
nah,
doing?
your first one, shoot, man, it took me 1.7 years to write my first book. 1.7. Then you have to do editing. A lot of people don't understand that. Like, you have to do editing. So you either hire an editor, or if you're an expert writer, you can edit your own stuff. But even then, you need someone to look over it. So you're looking at maybe 2 to 3 years to get a book down that you're probably going to finish in maybe 3 to 4 hours. Right? So the process is insane. And then we get me started on marketing and book designing, covers, and that little fine print in the back of the book. You got to understand how to do copyrights and, making sure that your book can't be pirated. And there's so many things to it. So, a lot of people might complain about the 10 years, but the 10 years is essential, because it's like every year you're learning something. Like, you're learning that I need to do this, or learning like, okay, there's that, or learning maybe I need to get an attorney. You're learning about LLCs, you're learning about taxes, but it's all contributing to
your growth.
And I hope that I continue learning until the day I die. I don't ever want it to stop. There are probably things that I still don't know about this industry that I need to learn about, but that's good though, because it's motivating for me to keep reading, keep learning, and keep focusing on this, right? Because things are always progressing, right? You might learn one thing, and there's a better thing out there for you to learn.
And it's dope that you're interested in learning. I'm the same way. I constantly like to get information, and every year business and technology is constantly changing. And you have to, and as much, like, I understand some of our older generation family, friends, and everyone that's around us is like, man, it's not like it used to be. It's not like it used to be. And no, really though, I agree with that. And I understand, like, some things change, like the tradition and love that's distancing. I get that, like, in the more like connection that's being distant, I understand that part. But as far as business and technology and the way we do things is changing, I'm so for it. And you have to be willing to change and adjust to them, or else you're going to be left behind.
You will be left behind
easily and quickly, because every day
something
a child
is
born, every day, like every year, new kids are graduating from high school and college. Like, the competition is rampant, and I'm not saying like it's life or death. I'm saying that it's like, you need to be willing to be open to learn new things. You need to be willing to be open to change, and open to new ideas, and open to newer people, and all this stuff, because that's going to help you survive and keep thriving.
Yeah, it will. Yeah, it will. You look at Blockbuster. We grew up with that. We're not old or anything, but we're millennials. But yeah, we grew up on Blockbuster. And the funny thing is Netflix came to them and was like, hey, let's combine our efforts. I'm going to sell my business to you guys, and this is where we think movies are going. Blockbuster said no.
And they probably laughed at them,
and they
too.
did. It was that year, it's like 2007, 2008, but they had like a record sell. Like, they were making billions. But the next following year, guess who came up on them? Netflix and streaming, right? And now we look at fast forward, what's a DVD?
Exactly.
Right? You download your stuff, right? We've moved so far away from that. So yeah, if you're not willing to look around and go, okay, I'm seeing someone else's success. They're doing really good in that industry. Why are they doing good? Let's figure out the steps to how they made it do it so good. And let's mimic that, but let's make it better than they already had it set out. Then you start beating the competition.
Exactly.
You look at people like people who've stayed in their industries for a long time, like Kanye West. This dude is like, what, 40 something?
Yeah.
He's a little bit older. But why is he so relevant? Why?
He's constantly reinventing.
He's reinventing himself. He's evolving. He's not the same Kanye from Graduation. His music doesn't even sound the same, right? But he's fitting this generation, right? But you look at other people like, no offense to her, but Mariah Carey, right? No offense, she's great. She's fantastic. You know, I love her music. But why isn't she current with her music?
Yeah, like relevant to
Yeah, she's making music right now still, but what happened? Her music didn't evolve quick enough, right? But Kanye West, you look at him, Beyonce, why are they staying in the industry for as long as they're doing? You have to keep changing. You can't look the same way you looked. Even with social media, Instagram. Do you remember when Instagram first came out? Did it look the same way it looks now?
Heck no.
Completely different, but for the good though, right?
Yeah, and it's like you said, I think people that are like they're willing to sacrifice everything and put in place a team that's going to help them win, a team that's relevant. So, you know, they're going to have younger people around that know the pop culture. They know what's going on. They know the sound of the music. They know everything that's happening in the news, what's current, what's not current, what's making noise, what isn't. And that's how you win. That's how you win is you have a surrounding of an environment of people who want to win and they're relevant. They know what's going on.
Yeah.
And
you do.
It's important. I think that's important too, having a good foundation.
No, it is. Without it, it's basically just not having the blueprint to where you want to go. There's no blueprint to a building. How's the building going to be built? Exactly. You might have too many windows on this side. This is not leveled over here. Right. This is broken because, you know, we didn't calculate something right. Yeah. If you sit down and you get structured and, you know, you really write it out. I always tell people this, write down your goals. Write down your goals for the year. Write down your goals for the week. And write down your plans for the day. So you don't just get stuck watching TV for like 3-4 hours, or you don't end up hanging out with your friend because you can go back to that little list and go, oh, okay, I'm supposed to do this, this, and this today, and I can't do anything else until I finish those things. That you won't even have to worry about you falling off track or you losing momentum because then you're on a set schedule because you have to have it. You know, you have to go back to, those school days. Remember, like, kindergarten?
Yeah.
It'd be like at, 6 a.m. if you start school at that time. It was, we're waking up, we're doing recess. At, 6:30, we're coming in, we're doing the Pledge of Allegiance. At, 8 p.m., we're doing alphabets, right? But people don't realize that, schools having it like that is putting you into a system of success, right? And that's just the layout for you. You have to have a layout for your life.
You have to have like an itinerary and an agenda to follow, and it helps because people are like, oh, I there's people are like, I'm just carefree. I don't need nothing.
What?
But
Yeah, what is that? You're just like,
it's good to have those days, but you also do need that structure, like you're saying. Like if you're like on it, because I really do believe in that, because if you're on it and you constantly have an agenda you're following, you're going to be self-motivated. At some point, you're not going to no longer need alarms or like checks. Like, hey, you need to cut this out. Like, no, you already know. Nope,
yeah,
I got stuff to take care of. I got stuff to take care
it's
of.
in you. Yeah. I've gotten like that. It was like around the time I actually got taking the book stuff seriously. I would hang out every day. I would chill. I would kick it, go to work, stay at work longer, this and that. And I would sit back and go, man, how come like none of my dreams are coming true? Like, how come I'm not doing anything? And I looked at my time. I was like, man, I'm throwing my time away. It's going to the wind.
And then you're like, not today, distraction.
Yeah, not today. So yeah, I start my day every day, 5 a.m. I don't care if it was Christmas. Christmas, I had the same exact schedule. Granted, I moved some things around to fit in family time, but I was up the same. I worked out the same. I finished my writing for the day. I did my post because I post every day. And I wrote for a certain amount of hours every single day. And it's the only way to get things done. Because, if you don't do it, no one else is going to do it for you.
Exactly.
Right? You're going to sit back and go, man, it was 10 years ago I wanted to do that thing. And like,
Really, and it
it's
flies by.
sad.
It seems like once you become an adult,
Yeah.
years just seem like months, dude, and it's
Done.
going by like it's
Done.
rolling
It's
downhill.
quick. Yeah, it's very quick, and time feels like it's going by quicker right now, but if you don't put yourself onto something, or if you don't get organized, you will wake up and you will be 50 years old, and you will be sitting in a room wondering what happened.
Really though, and then
Yeah.
and it happens every day to people.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. At my job, I worked at a spot. It's called the Senior Center, right?
Mhm.
And I would sometimes just go in and talk to some of the older folks, 'cause I love older people. Not because they're old or anything, but just because they have wisdom.
Yeah, and it's so I'm the same way conversating with them.
Yeah, I
It's
like to
just-
conversate. I like to talk to these people. And the crazy thing is like I did my round around the room. There was maybe about 40 people in there, and I'm like, this guy wanted to fly an airplane around the world. This woman wanted to swim in Paris and hit a record. This guy wanted to build homes. This guy, I was talking to another guy. This guy wanted to write music for an orchestra. Da da da. It kept going on, and I'm looking at them. They're all in wheelchairs. They all have canes. They're so close to dying, and that it freaked me out because it's like, you're sitting there with all these aspirations, all these dreams, and all this energy and all these things you could have done in life. You could have changed the world, but you weren't focused. You weren't organized enough to get your life straight out to actually work on it, because you never know. Like I love this guy. His name is Les Brown. He's a motivator. Where the most wealth is on the planet is? It's in the graveyard. Yeah, because there lies people's dreams, things
that's
it's deep, but it's real.
Right,
like, yeah, because you not following your dream and you not going after what you is innate in you, inside you. It's in you. It's like it's part of your fibers, and you not doing that thing, you missed out on impacting the world, because you never know. Like for you, maybe writing that one song will impact that one kid who's going to be an astronaut and discover that one thing, and him going to space is going to bring a whole different type of fortune to the United States. Or, you not singing maybe for that kid who's depressed. Maybe he was never going to, be a doctor because he was getting ready to leave college and he heard your song and it motivated him. It's like that because we're connected. It's a domino effect. You not doing your thing, you're ruining it for like maybe 30 other people, and 30 turns into 1,000, 1,000 turns into 30,000. And I learned that, like, a few of my poems from Pink Grapefruit, I had a woman come back and tell me that your poetry, your one of your poems, just one, right? One of your poems, I didn't commit suicide.
Damn,
right?
That's deep, dude.
Right? And she was a mother. She had a kid, right? And her son, he graduated high school, right? And now he's going to, I can't remember what school it is. I think it's Ohio. It's one of those states. But yeah, and he's going in for nursing, right? But it gets deeper. Who is he going to take care of, right? And it expands from there. But one person, one life.
You don't know who you can impact. You don't know whose life you can change by just being your true self. Being your true self and finding a way to make your calling happen.
Yeah.
And even just trying. Like the hardest part is, I think, we fear failure so much that we won't even try it, or just think, that could never happen. That's never gonna happen. Like, why would I even want to do that? It's crazy. It's far-fetched.
That you said that.
But for real, like, even myself, like my insecurities, failure, or like you said, quitting. Like if I go, like, it's funny because we're local. Where I live is local still, so that people do remember me. Like, oh, he's in radio, or he rapped. I remember him rapping since high school and doing this and that. So then you run into people like, oh, what's up? They just want to hear this amazing story of how you traveling and
the world.
Yeah, you're doing all this stuff, and then it's like, don't be fooled. It's still same old me, and nothing's really changed. But
I think you're doing exactly what you should be for the time that you're at in your life. And the coolest thing about failure, because I know you're right, most people fear failure. You don't need to fear it.
You gotta just embrace it.
No, because it's important. you have to fail in order to get better. It's kind of like building muscle. I have that in my book. The only way you're going to build muscle is if you tear old muscle, right? And you strengthen it, right? So you have to go through that. It's the process of it for you to be strong enough to do that, to fight that demon, right? There's levels to it. It's super essential. Like, how do we learn how to ride a bike?
You by falling.
Right? I still have scars. I tore my face all the way. I've chipped my tooth. Yeah.
Oh,
I
man.
jacked up my face. I fell for about a week. Now, if you put me on a bike, I'll never fall.
Exactly.
I can do a
yeah.
wheelie. Like,
had to
I'm good.
learn.
Yeah, but you have to fall because it puts you in a place where you're no longer afraid of failing. You're more focused on what can I do to get better at it, right? So, to anyone who's listening to this, if you put something out and it goes bad, good for you, right? Good job, right? Now go do it again,
Exactly.
right? And now you know not to make that mistake, right? My first book I put out, like I said, I sold 2 copies, right? That was a failure in my eyes. Probably was, for most people, but that was a failure. But it was good though, because I allowed that to motivate me to go back to square one, figure out what I was doing that wasn't working. Then I put out another book. Then I sold 5 copies, right? For most people, that would have been like, oh, yeah, that's not good. No, I sold 3 more copies than I sold last time. So what can I do to do it better the next? Then after that, sold more. And that's just the secret, right?
Yeah, you have to fail.
It's repetition.
And embrace it and evaluate what led you to the failure and how to get better from that point and just keep moving forward.
Yeah, so fall. Congrats. You've made it, right? Now go out,
Exactly.
try again, fall again, right?
Exactly. So going into your books now, let me ask you a question. How does it feel when you introduce yourself to someone and you introduce your name and you say I'm an author? How does that feel to you? Or like how is that experience?
It changes people's perspective of you. Right? I did a speaking conference, I guess you can call it, at my school at Cal Baptist, right? So I spoke to about maybe 30, 40 kids in the classroom, right? And the minute I said that, I told them and I was showing them my book and everything, people look at you from now on a pedestal, right? And it's something that you weren't prepared for. I don't think anyone's prepared for, even if it's at a small degree. But now they're looking up to you. So now everything you say, it means more. So you can't just be out here just saying wild stuff. Right? Like
Really?
right now you're really concerned about your self-image and what your brand is. Because now I think about that from a business standpoint for whatever I do. I'm a brand. When I go outside and I leave my home, I'm a brand. If I say anything, I'm a brand. If something bad happens and it's around me, it makes my brand look bad.
Very true.
So yeah, I have to be in a leadership type position with everyone, even with people closest to me, to my family. Because, I don't want it to stop at home. I want it to continue. I have to make sure people look at me at this type of light because this is what I'm projecting to you. So you can believe it, right? If you don't believe in yourself, no one else is going to believe in you.
True.
Right. So if I'm a writer, I have to live out being a writer.
Exactly.
Right. It has to be within my bones. Everything I'm doing is surrounded with me creating this content and me being a positive person. Right. You can't just be positive one day, then like the next you're posting stuff that's like ratchet and
yeah, exactly. It's like it totally goes against your character and what you're really trying to push. Like you're trying to brand a specific thing and you have to really just be specific to that.
Yeah. And that's my niche. My niche is 2 things. It's positivity and it's great storytelling. I'm here to enlighten people and give them a different perspective. It's like I was watching a video of Elon Musk, the guy who made Tesla, and his brand Tesla is good air quality. At the end of it, it's cars, but it's good air quality. He did a podcast, same thing. He was smoking weed, right?
Yeah, on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Right? Yeah, he did that. And what happened? He lost like something $1 billion because his investors saw that.
People pulled out shares.
Pulled out because it's like, oh, this guy does not care about the air quality because he's smoking weed. Right? Same thing for me. if I'm out here and it's one video and people catch me like off my game or doing something that's uncharacteristic to my thread, to who I am, boom, I lose it. And it takes one strike.
Really,
one thing.
And then, like you said, in this popcorn generation, it takes one little, wrong step, and man,
and you're out.
done. Yeah,
and people will bring that up
the
for the rest of your life.
The internet is undefeated, dude.
It is there, right? Like, we can think about celebrities. Like what? Chris Brown. One mistake ruined his whole career. He was projected to be the next Michael Jackson. One mistake. So he had to change his image.
You have to really watch yourself.
You got to be extremely careful. You know?
That is intense.
It's very intense.
So back to being an author.
Mm-hmm.
How many books have you written?
Gosh, I think I've written so many books, to be honest with you. Because in the beginning of my career, I was just pumping out books just to see what people like or didn't like. And they were trash. They were so bad.
I think, oh man, I wouldn't even want to show you my beginning music.
Nah, it's horrible.
Like, man, it's like when you're first starting off, you just testing the waters. You don't know what's gonna work or how it's gonna sound or seem, or you don't know what to expect.
So bad. So maybe I'm probably at maybe 23 books
Nice.
I've written, but books that I'm actually promoting that is now fitting who I am and where I want to go. I would say I'm at 3. It will be 4 coming up very soon. So I'm doing 2 books at the same time.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, 3 actually.
That are actually published right now.
Yeah, so 3 right now that are published, and 2 others are coming out. The manuscript's already done. I have an editor. She already looked over it, and we're on that. But yeah,
nice.
That's where I'm at.
And from when you started to now, how do you feel? How are you feeling about everything that you've done up to this point?
I'm learning. Yeah.
Nice.
I took the time out after 2 book failures to realize that I knew nothing about writing because I didn't. I just thought if you know a story, you can kind of just go ahead and tell it without really understanding what's the point of a story and character development and what's world building and all these really big terminologies. I didn't understand it. So I took a small step back to sit down and read books every day, study other people's crafts, and I would read journals from other people of good book writing techniques, storytelling. It's the reason why I went back to college for 4 years in journalism and writing, so I can learn the art of finding stories and learning what does it take to actually make something that makes sense, that it's going to translate to people, that's actually going to leave an imprint, So I did a lot of backtracking, but it was good though, because it's making me a master of my craft. I read that it takes 10 years to master something, and I'm only on year maybe 5. So give me another 5 years. Let's see what it looks like.
Maybe that meal will be right in your account.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully then or, sooner. But I'm okay with me taking the time out to develop myself. Yeah. So I want to be good at this. So I'm willing to do whatever it takes, even if I have to stand in the sidelines or in the back and really look at other people's successes for me to learn. I'm willing to do that so I can be in that position.
And you know what's dope about all the greats who came before us that have ever left an interview, ever wrote an autobiography? Those are the tools and the, what should I say, the fast pass to get to where you need to go. Because in their autobiographies and their interviews and their stories that they're telling about their experiences, they're telling you what not to do. Yeah. And how to do it faster. There's no easy way to it. No. It's going to require tons of hard work and dedication, but they're pretty much telling you I did this, I did that, this didn't work, and this could have been totally avoidable. So you should try it this way. You know what I mean? And that's what's amazing about, like you said, reading people's journals, learning more about writing and studying people that came before us or the people that are it right now. And you learn so much more from that.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And it really is informative and it helps you.
Well, yeah, like I said, if you want to be like, to anyone who's aspiring to do something, and you have a role model who's in the high ups, look at them, study them. Like, I like J.K. Rowling, Rowling, I mean, Harry Potter. She was the first billionaire writer, right?
Nice.
So I study her. I look at her books, and not just to read the books for the story, but I'm reading it for how she told her story, how she writes the format for it. Then I'll watch her interviews for hours, right? And I'll try to make sense of her thought process and what she went through to get there. Or I'll take another step back. I'll look at Stephen King. I'll look at how he did it, how he translated his books to movies. And there's a formula to it, and I just discovered it. Of how to get there, who he talks to, how he does interviews. What's his writing process? This dude does like 4,000 words a day, right? So I'm like, I'm going to do 4,100 words a day.
Exactly.
Right?
That's the way to push it, though.
Yeah, you have to. And those are the keys to success. It's one of the keys, but, is really learning from people who are doing it better than you, and allow their successes to sharpen you, right? And really absorb it. And even the people around you, if you have anyone who's doing better than you, really look at them. Go, okay, so what do you do when you wake up in the morning? I have this guy, he's my mentor at my job. This dude's very successful. He played soccer in Nigeria, right? So this dude,
Nice.
he had his wealth and whatnot. But I'll ask him, I'm like, okay, so what do you do in the morning? He's like, I'm up by 4:30. Like, I'm not getting up at 4:30. I'll get up at 5, but, then he's like, yeah, I work out. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll work out in the morning. And he'll tell me, I'll read about 2 books a week. Right. I'm trying to get to that. I do about 1 book a week, but I'm like, that's what he does. So this is what I need to start doing, to start imitating these people. Right. And it develops you like insanely fast.
And what's crazy is like reading is really wealth. Like reading is wealth for real. Like that. Like it's been told in so many different ways. It's like the more you read, like actually taking the time and investing in reading something,
it's wisdom
for real, and that's what's helping build you financially, spiritually, and just knowledge, and like you said, wisdom. Like it's overall healthy for you just to read.
No, it is,
and study.
It is like I spend about like 80% of my weekday, besides me being at work or doing whatever for family, 80% of my weekday, I am at the library or I'm at Barnes & Noble. That's or if I am at home, I have like a little corner, a little den. It's small, but I'll be in there and I'm just reading. That's it. That's all I do 24/7. So I'll get a book. Right now I'm reading this book on how to file your taxes, right? Because tax season is coming up, right? We have 3 weeks till then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm reading like how to file your taxes for an entrepreneur. What ways can I save money and how can I avoid some of those things? Then I have another book I bought yesterday. It's social media marketing on IG.
That's nice,
right? It's a thick book, but I'm like determined. I'm like, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to highlight everything. Then I have another book I was reading by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich.
Oh, yeah, that's a good book. Yeah,
so it's my second time reading that, but it's like those little leadership skills, I'm putting that all into me. But that's all I do. I do self-help books. But if I'm getting ready to write something, then I'll read more fictional things or nonfiction. But I'm just absorbing. I'm a sponge.
Yeah, and that's dope that you see. That's another thing is like you're taking that extra time to study. And you're going back like Think and Grow Rich. That's a book from the past that's still very influential to this day. Yeah. But then you're also implementing the tax situation for an entrepreneur and the social media, how to market and all that. That's amazing. Yeah. You're taking the time to really do this. There's people that say they want to, but they are not. There's a lot of steps that you can never, you can't half step nothing.
Nah, you can't.
You can't half
it's
step
a fail.
it. You can't. You have to go all in and dedicate your time to that, and you're definitely doing that.
Yeah. But yeah, I encourage. Same thing. If anyone's listening to this, it's if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you need to read books on leadership first of all, because as an entrepreneur, you're going to be guiding people and leading people. You need to learn how to talk to people correctly and how to be a mentor and learn how to stand in a room and not dominate it and encourage the people around you to grow with you. That's good leadership. And second thing is you need to read books on financial wellness. Like I said, I didn't grow up with any understanding of finances and money. Like savings, what was that? No one in my family saved. Right, it was
I feel that.
It was like
yeah.
paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
Right, and if you're short, then you're broke, or you're scrambling to sell things to make ends meet. I grew up in that home where it was like, oh, the water bill. How are we going to pay that? Or it stresses you. It gets on you.
It's added stress that we can all really avoid.
Yeah, it is, but if you can take the time to read those books, I'm reading another book. It's called The Richest Man in Babylon. If you can learn how to read that book, it'll teach you the secrets to wealth. And it's very simple. It's called saving, right? And it's not to save permanently forever. There's no wealth in you just putting money into your savings account. It's wealth into having a plan. Like I said, it's like the word of the day is plan. Right, is determining what am I going to buy, what asset is going to generate me cash flow. So mine was book writing. That's cash flow for me. What I'm aspiring to get into next is real estate.
Nice. That's really big. Because
like I said, it's separating working annually to working not working at all. You're sitting there and you're receiving a paycheck.
Residual income.
Right, residual income, cash flow. So people need to learn those things if you're ever going to decide to jump into this, but to read those books. Like, get away from reading comics. It's fine if you want to, it's leisure, but you need to go into the business section of Barnes & Noble, of Target, sit there and go over, what do I not know? That's how I started off. I go, what do I not know? I'm like, cars. I don't know how to buy a car. Go read a book on it. How do you buy a house? People can't tell you, right? Most people don't even know. How do I apply for a job?
Yeah.
Right?
There you go. There's so many books. There's so much information on everything that you can go. And it's like, at the same time too, it's like, dude, you have to put yourself out there to be willing to expose yourself to stuff like that. You have to be open. And like you said, as far as to add to what you're saying, like business wise, like right now it's open for anyone to go and you better get it while the getting's good, because who knows what could change in the future or what. And if you don't start implementing these things and using these tools to make residual income, it's crazy. It's like the 1% may have not wanted everyone to know the information
they don't want you to know.
But if the tools and the information and the knowledge is out there, you might as well soak that up and learn as much as you can to get a piece of that, because there's enough going around.
Yeah,
it's
there
is. How to implement it and use it in your life and figure it out, because not every blueprint's gonna work for you, but you got to find a way that is gonna work for you and just hone in on that.
Yeah, and get into it. But you're right. Like I said, they don't teach you this in high school. I
they don't teach us shit really that we need for society.
Anything. Yeah, anything. I went to Bloomington. They didn't even teach us how to fill out resumes. I graduated high school. And I was looking at the contracts for to get into college. I was like, "What is this?
Exactly.
What's financial? What? I didn't know anything." And it's sad though, because it's like you're 18 years old and like you're expected to go out here and like
figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out. But it's like, man, y'all didn't even give me a good setup to get anything. Then you expect your parents to teach you something, but your parents know less than you do.
Yeah, right? or like you guys are on the same playing field. And what's crazy is like when you said that, it's just like, why don't they have a financial literacy class? Like, why don't they have that? Even if it's just an elective or another added class, even if they made it 7 periods, financial literacy is important. Why didn't they ever? It's
teach
so
us
stupid.
this.
That's important, I feel like.
Yeah.
Especially in American economics, like, financial literacy is so important.
It
how to do
is.
your taxes.
Yeah.
Credit. How to not get
Don't
screwed
get
over
me started on credit. I'm like,
No.
you can't even buy a mattress without good credit. Like,
Yeah, for real.
serious. No,
That's funny, man.
But yeah, it's these, like I said, it's these poor areas and they don't teach, it is what it is. It's statistics. It's, little
Mhm.
areas where there's like brown and black students,
Mhm.
and immigrants,
Mhm.
and they don't have that, but you go to, no offense, but to these white schools, and they
Mhm.
have those things, and they have those setups,
The
the
resources, the
resources
knowledge, the
for
information
you
for
to
that.
learn anything. Yeah. Because, you look at all of us, people who graduated, especially in my class.
Mhm.
I look at all my friends, and it's me and another person who actually graduated high school.
Mhm.
Then out my group, I'm the only person who actually went to college.
Nice.
That's it, but one. But that's not
That's
okay though.
yeah. It it means a lot
Yeah.
that you've gone and you've pursued a higher education
Yeah.
and to better yourself. But it's crazy that you look back and you're
It's
like
not
it's
okay.
rare to see a
Mm-hmm.
handful of people or
Yeah.
a whole class to go out and get a further
Yeah.
education.
Yeah, it's not okay. So yeah, we need to backtrack, and we needed to start teaching people these things. But I say it like this: if no one's gonna teach you, teach yourself.
Exactly.
Because you have access. There's a library at your school. There's a library in the cities.
Mhm.
There's Barnes and Noble. You can go to Barnes and Noble and read a book without buying it.
Mhm.
I see people sitting on the floors. Like, I saw this dude. He brought his own beanbag, and like I'm not there yet in my life. I will be, but yeah, he'll be like came in with the beanbag. I'm watching him too, and no one says anything. And he sits down. He had his like little thermostat. He had hot chocolate. It was a cold day, and he went into my section, to the business section.
Mhm.
And this guy was reading. Like, he'd pick a book, go through it in an hour, because I was just chilling in the aisles too, and he put the book back like it was normal and pick out another one. But you have that access. You can go to Target and go to the book section and go read a book on like business management.
Nice.
Yeah, you have that access. You have so much access. You can go on Google and just type it in and read those little forums. But like I said, no one wants to do the work.
Yeah,
And
and
everybody wants it. Everybody wants to be Oprah, but no one wants to go through what Oprah
for
went
real,
through.
everyone wants to be Instagram famous
Right?
and instantly successful, and it just doesn't happen like
Nah.
that. You might have your 1 in a million people. The
Yeah.
chances like of just doing something and going viral, like I get
Mhm.
that. Go for it. Do you want to try it? Do it. There's
won't
no
last,
right
though.
or wrong way, but like you said, to build a career that's
Mhm.
sustained by residual income, that's key.
That's a good word.
That's super important.
Yeah,
to
I'm
be able
glad
to do.
you said social media too. I had the liberty. I went to like a vlogging event, right?
Mhm.
So I was meeting some of the top like YouTubers and whatever. I went there by accident,
Mhm.
right? But by God's grace, I was supposed to be there. But I'm meeting these people, and I'm seeing their worth ethic. Completely, it's insane. Like, these people have like 10 million followers, over that, right?
Mhm.
But you see how much work they put into it. This one guy I was talking to, he posts 3 times a day on
Mhm.
all his platforms, right?
Mhm.
He makes video content 2 times out the day, one in the morning, another one in the afternoon. Then at the top of that, he does podcasts. Then he does videos, right? And he does vlogging,
Jeez.
right? But at the end of the day, he sits down for like 4 to 5 hours and he edits it
Everything.
and he posts it. So everything he does is daily. And he does that from Monday to Monday, every day.
Damn.
But this is why this dude had like 10 million followers.
Consistency and dedication.
Dedication. But you look at it and I'm like, this is why you're a millionaire, right? It's not just like same thing, like something went viral. No, you were strategic.
Mhm.
You laid this out like, I'm about to make this work, and if I die, that's cool because I
Mhm.
made it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
if you're doing everything you're supposed to be
Mhm.
doing and you really want to be doing,
Yeah.
then I don't think you fear death, because it's
No.
like, I've done everything that I wanted to do.
Mhm.
I think we fear the inevitable because we feel like, oh, we still have time. Like, why is my time running short? Why is something gonna happen to me
Uh-huh.
if I did everything that I was sent here to do, or my
Mhm.
calling? Then you'll be at total peace with yourself.
Yeah.
And that's where I want to be eventually, is where it's
Yeah.
like, I've got everything done and cleaned my slate
Yeah.
with everything, and I'm ready to
Uh-huh.
whatever's next for me, my next calling,
Well,
I'm good.
I think you're doing a good job. Well, you have me here. Like,
yeah,
the
yeah.
fact that you're doing this, I think this is incredible because most people won't do this.
Yeah, I really appreciate you coming today. Like I said, like, it's dope. This is something that I had in my mind, like I wanted to do it, and I was like, I don't know, and like I really give kudos and thanks to the like my background in radio for helping me get to this point. But I've done music. I wanted to start writing and doing different things, but I'm like,
Yeah.
this for me definitely is a whole nother start. It's a whole nother start to
Good.
hopefully give people a better understanding and connecting us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
and supporting locally and
Yeah.
helping my people
No, I love
out.
this.
And it's
Yeah.
to me, it's cool because everybody. The thing is too is like people think because you have a platform or a voice or something going on that you're just out to get the numbers and out to get the biggest of the biggest people. No.
Nah.
I want to get everybody and anybody because they have a story to tell.
Yeah, it's
and
good.
they
I support
deserve it.
that.
Everyone deserves it because everybody's
They
important.
do.
Everybody's important. I don't care, you know, who you are, what walk of life or culture, background, race, ethnicity. Doesn't matter. To me, what matters is your story. Everyone's story is important because everyone's gone through something. They've
Yeah.
gone through some shit, or they haven't gone through quite the same things as others. But everyone has some sort of dilemma, story to tell.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's important. It doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur or if you or have 1 million followers or 10 million followers.
Yeah, who cares?
I feel like the important thing is connecting with people.
It is. No, you're on it.
And
Yeah.
building the relationships that are needed for the future. You know what I mean? And it's dope. And that's why I really like that. And why I brought you on here. I know we were like all over the place, and it's dope because we're building, you know, we're building a connection as far as like talking about things that we could relate to. And you do have a book releasing very soon,
I
correct?
do. January the 8th.
And what's the name of this book?
It's called White Orchids.
And what does this book mean to you?
It means it's probably the best thing I think I've ever written in my life. And I think it's always going to be the best thing I've ever written in my life.
I'm so excited to read this thing now.
No, it was a walk of love because I was writing at a time where I was at the lowest point of my life, you know, emotionally, financially, spiritually. I was just defeated. But, you know, I knew that writing was my calling. You know, it was in me. I had to do it. But, you know, I had to write books, you know, in the sense where nobody was, you know, messing with me. Nobody was reading my stuff, you know. Around that time, I was trying to get my book out here into the world, and I was rejected by like over 200 agents, right? And agents are tough, right? Especially the mean ones. They'll send you letters and tell you why your book sucked, right? And I kept those letters, right? And I had to live with that and go back home to my parents, my families, my friends, and all that. And I had to go, yeah, this is where I'm at, and I'm at a low. And, you know, I don't know if I should keep on doing this. But yeah, I was listening, like I said, Les Brown, this motivational dude. And he was like, you know, if no one believes in you, then you need to believe in yourself. You know, you have to be your biggest cheerleader. And, you know, I cried and I was upset. I was very depressed. But what kept me going every day with writing was writing poems every day. But every poem was fixated towards a certain emotion in my life, emotion for the day that I was struggling with. And I would use those poems to get me through the day or get me through the week. And the funny thing is I've been writing this book for probably about 3 years, right? I didn't know it was going to be a book until I actually look back and go, okay, you know, I've grown past that stage, but there are probably tons of people out here who need that. You know, and I was posting some of the poems on my IG, and people were connecting with it. And I'm like, why not just put this together and give this to someone who is really on the verge of just quitting with life? Like they're just, you know, I think we all hit that stage where we're just
everybody goes through that. If you don't, you're lying. You got to be lying at some point.
Yeah.
There's times where you're like, I'm done. You just mentally check out. Like I'm out of here.
And I was, like I said, when I sold 2 books and it broke my heart. I love my mother. Like you know, my mother is my best friend, and you know, she's one of my biggest supporters. But you know, one of the people I gave a book to was my mom, and she didn't even read it. That was defeating. That defeated me, you know. And you know, by the time I hit that point, and it was like there was no love out here for me. I was like, man, why am I even doing this? I'm like,
yeah, for real.
yeah, I was like, man, I was like, I'm just gonna quit and forget it. And the letters started coming in for my next book, all the rejection letters, all around the same time. And I had this car was breaking down, my engine was exploding. Then I was going to this school, and my financial help was not coming in, so I was completely broke. Then I got fired from my job, and I lost my boyfriend. Like, when you lose your guy, it's like, gosh.
Damn, it's like everything was happening all at once.
Then my best friend left me. I loved her, but we fell off, and she left me. Then I lost another best friend. So I was legit in a pit by myself, 100%. I was just done with life, And the crazy thing is like, I feel like things happen for a reason, for you to make something. It's like the only way diamonds gonna be diamonds when you're under pressure, right? Right?
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I was under pressure. I was just down, but I have sticky notes, and I went to the 99-cent store. I bought these sticky notes, right? And I would go to 99-cent store like every week, because I would just go through the packets, and I would sit there and I would go, okay, let me write this down. This is how I'm feeling. Put the sticky note in my wallet. So anytime I was feeling like, really depressed, I would look at it and go, okay, I got this. The next day, and before long, I have more poems, but I would end up with like 2,000 to 3,000 poems, right?
Nice.
And I was like, I have to do something with these, fast forward in the future, like to now. And I'm like, let's start pumping out books. Let's see what happens. And the crazy thing is like, the minute I got vulnerable with my writing, then I start seeing progress, right? Then
that's what's dope about it, man.
Right?
It's like when you see that, like when you can
I cried.
Yeah, for real. It's like when you can be your true self within your art and be able to project it to the world.
Yeah.
Oh man.
No, I cried. I'm telling you, the first book I sold on Amazon, like it happened. I put the book out, Pink Grapefruit. I put it out like at midnight, right? I don't think anything, because at that point I'm like, if I don't sell any books, it's fine. I'm doing this for me. And it hits midnight. It hits 12:01. I'll never forget that, because I was up. And you can see like the little book sales happening online. So I refocus it and I put it back in, and I see a book sell, and I'm like, I cried.
Oh wow, that's a great feeling.
I didn't tell anybody I really wrote this book yet, but I'm like looking at it, I'm like, whoa, I sold a book. Then I regenerated again, and I sold 5 books. Wow. And I was like, I wake up the next morning, and it was 28. It was only like 8 a.m. And I'm like, this can't be happening. Who are these people? That online, social media changed my life. Like, IG. The people who actually were buying my books, they were sending me photos of it. I was getting photos every day.
Nice.
People like telling me how much they love it. And by then I was like, I'm done. I'm out. Life is good. I'm like, I could pass out today. I'm content.
And that's, that's amazing. And I'm happy that you got that feeling, because that's that right there. That's important, dude.
It is.
To be able to have that feeling of like, not necessarily contentment, but you're just like, you're so proud of yourself to be able to accomplish something where you're just like, dude, that's it. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm good with this.
Yeah, I was content.
That's so good.
Yeah.
To have that feeling.
No, it's
because look at all the stuff that you've been through. Like, really, like if you take the time, because sometimes we think, oh, maybe it ain't that bad. Maybe what I'm going through is just a little. But take the time to really look back at everything you've been through, all the stuff that led up to this point, and just for you to finally be able to exhale, like
and feel it and go,
like,
okay,
this I'm meant to be.
Yeah, this is something, and I feel like it was important for me to hit it. This like little milestone, because it's little, but it's so important. I have it in this book, which is you need to, the goal is to climb mountains, but today let's practice climbing hills.
Nice.
Right? So these are my little baby hills that are leading me to that mountain that I'm destined to climb. And I'm going to climb it, right? But I'm super content and humbled with just the little things. Like my goal last year was just to get to 1,000 followers on my IG. That was it. I just want to connect with 1,000 people. I'm not worried about anyone else's success. I'm worried about my own. And even if one person likes it, I'm like, I impacted one person on this planet. How crazy is that? One person sat down and watched me.
That is true. You know what's funny is I used to have this saying, and Ashley, my wife, brings it up to me
Yeah.
all the time, and I used to say, I don't care if I perform or like one person invests into me, like, because it would always be like at shows. Like I've done the small shows and I've done big shows, and I said, I used to say all the time, I don't care if it's one person or 1,000 people, I'm gonna still rock. For
I'm
them,
putting my all into
yeah,
this.
and she constantly reminds me, because there's been times where I didn't have my best of shows. I didn't have
Yeah.
she's a tough critic. I'm my worst critic, but she's a tough critic.
Yeah.
But and she always reminds me that, like, remember, those are your words. You said you didn't care if there was one person or 1,000 people or 1,000,000 people. You're gonna still give it your all, and it didn't matter if it was that one person or hundreds of people supporting you. It's still support, and they still took the time out of their day, their night, to go and support you.
Yeah,
and they're rocking in your corner. So you have to give them that. You have to be able to perform and be able to give them that, because they're giving you their time and they're giving you their investment, their
it's crazy.
money. You know?
Yeah, exactly. It's like they're giving you your time, like their time. Like it's so insane for me to think that there's somebody on this planet who actually read something that I wrote, and they were so moved by it that they wanted to take a picture and send it to me.
That's dope, man. That's so nice, because it's great for your marketing. It's great to show and spread the love that you're getting.
Yeah.
You know what's funny too? I don't know if I'm pretty sure I told you before, but you actually inspired me to like want to put my book out. You know what I mean?
I'm
like,
waiting for you to write a book.
I know
I keep telling you that.
You told me that.
I say it all the time.
And it's dope. Like I'm happy that I got to like meet more people and get to know you, because it's dope. Like it's motivating me to want to go get out of my comfort zone. Writing, just like open format and poetry wasn't really something that it was my main focus. It was music and entertainment and media and stuff like that. So when I started doing this, I'm just like, I could probably do it. I'm not saying I'm going to be the greatest ever or do this, but I really believe in what I'm writing, and I see that it's a possibility, and I would love to just grow, to do it and grow. So I've been like encouraged to do it, and I thank you for being a part of the inspiration.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
And I'm really grateful that you're here today.
Yeah, of course.
Which way that can the people order the books and get them?
So they can get it off Amazon firstly. So there's Amazon, there's Kindle. You can order it from there. However else you buy things on Amazon, it's easy. Or I'm on Barnes & Noble.
That is so dope.
So you can get a hard copy, you can get a paperback, or you can do the digital. So it's up to you on how you want to get it. But yeah, if you just want to read the book and get like little like sneak peeks of it, they can follow me on IG. It's Rye_read_is_me. And yeah, they can see it. I post poems like every day.
Can you spell it out for them?
Yeah. So it's RY_IS then me. M-E. Yeah. Rye Read is me. And they can just follow me on IG. And you'll see me, like, I'm the only Rye Read, like, out
That's
here.
That's dope. You stand out. There you go.
I had to. I had to change my name for me to even do this. Because, my name is Kelly. But this person I was working with, this old editor, she was like, you can't be Kelly Read. And I was like, what? Who are you? Like,
Exactly.
I was like, your name is whack, too. She was like, no, calm down. She was like, no, Kelly. She's like, look at this. What's happening in the news? I'm like, who? She's like, R. Kelly. And I'm like, oh, no. I can't have it.
You have to differentiate some certain things.
I had to separate it. So I went with my middle name and just Rye. And I found out
That's dope.
Cool thing about my name is Rye means little king.
Nice.
Reed means red hair, big red hair. And I'm like, oh, that just, fits because I have giant big red hair. I'm like, I'm little king with red hair. Let's go.
There you go. That's
like,
dope.
This is the name. Like, let's do it. Yeah.
What's the best way? Because I'm all about helping people.
Yeah.
So what's the best way that people could put more money into your pocket? What's the best way to order the book?
Yeah, I would say...
And help you gain more of a profit.
Yeah, I would say either one, Amazon or Barnes & Noble. It's the same thing because, you can choose how much money you want to make off of it, either 30 or 70%.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's either Amazon or Barnes & Noble. I probably would say Amazon then, because they have like their own little algorithm. So the higher you are on Amazon, the more exposure they will do for your book.
Nice.
But either way, it's like whatever you buy, you're supporting me.
Also, leave a review and rate it too.
Leave a
Help her out.
review on Amazon or Goodreads.
All right.
Yeah, you can go on that, but yeah, leave me a good review. None of that negative stuff. Like, like go home with that. But yeah, leave a review and tell your friends and family. Like, go ahead and pick up the book. If you know anyone who's a little bit sad or a little bit low or is trying for something new, anyone who's in college, because college is hard, like tell them to go read the book and go through the poems, or tell them to follow me on IG. And if not, I do free book giveaways anytime I'm launching something, because I get it. It's it's hard times. A lot of people don't have the money for it. Not that books are expensive; they're very affordable. But I like to give books away randomly. So if you follow me, I'm gonna be giving away a few of these actually in the next 2 weeks. So if you want one, just stay tuned and we'll go from there.
Support.
Yeah.
It goes a long way. Trust me, people. It goes very long.
Yeah. It's super huge. And, I don't tell people this, but a lot of my book sales, I found a small charity by my house. There's a lot of homeless people out here in California. I'm sure, like, people know with the news, a lot of people from Anaheim, they've migrated lower to Southern California, but they don't have homes and it's cold right now. So I've been donating 10% of my book sales to these homeless charities to.
That's really nice.
Yeah, give people like blankets. So if if you're giving to me, you're actually giving to someone else. If you want to look at it like that.
That's really nice. That's dope. I commend you on that. That's dope. Is there any way else they can contact you, follow you, and do you have websites?
Yes, I do. So it's the same thing. You guys can just look me up at Ryreed, RYREED. And honestly, if you type that name in on any social media platform, I pop up. I promise you, I'm the only one out here.
That's dope. That's what I'm saying. Like, I want to make it as easy for everyone to find you.
You'll find me.
And that to be able to just type that or even Google it, boom, and it pops up.
If you Google me, RY,
there's no excuses, people.
You'll see me, and I pop up. You'll see my IG and everything. You just take a clip, and just go from there. But yeah.
That's dope. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we sign off?
I would say this. I feel like there's like a lot of young people like maybe listening to this, which is be okay with not being where you want to be. Because I know like a lot in society we think that we have to be like stars and we have to live this bigger than life type of lifestyle, and it's okay that you're not there because you're in the process of being there. But as long as you are content with you and you're okay with that, and you're, I could say this is live a life to give, no matter where you're at. If you're at that low point, help someone else around you. Be that motivator, encourage people. Because I promise you, I don't know if y'all believe in God or anything, but I'm like, God will bless you for that. It's like for me, like, even though I'm not selling as many books as I would love to hit the million mark with the books. I was like, why give when I'm there? Why not start giving now? So
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what makes you a better person.
Yeah, I'm trying to be.
Yeah.
Trying to get to that point.
But that's all that matters is that you're actually trying and not necessarily trying, you're doing. You know, and that's what separates so many people is just taking that little bit of effort or that little bit of money that you can support with.
Yeah, and
it goes far. It goes far.
It goes very far. So yeah, give your time to people. Just be nice with it. And don't ask people for stuff. Like give, then ask. Yeah. Because I have a lot of people on my DM right now. They're like, give me a shout out or read my book or read my poems. I'm like, whoa, it's not how it works, right? Yeah, you have to give first, then you can receive. Yeah,
and that's how it goes. And again, I want to thank you for coming today, and I appreciate your time. And you are very talented.
Thank you.
And you write great, and your pieces are moving. You know what I mean? Yeah. And there's parts in there that I read. I'm like, wow, like that is deep.
I had to go there.
That is deep, but I respect that. And like you said, that's vulnerability right there, and that's being comfortable in being yourself. And that to me, in my perspective and the way I look at life is when I meet people or see people or learn about people totally being their self, truthful, all in all, their flaws and all, like that's the most
Yeah,
Like,
it's the best.
it's the most important thing to me to see, to know that, because we're all human. And when you can be your full self, you're fully exposed, and you're comfortable with it,
Yeah,
and
you
you're living through it. And
it's a point of connection.
And that's dope. And I'm grateful I have the opportunity to
Well,
talk to you.
thank you for even having me on here. This is amazing.
You know, maybe when you are at that million or 100 million mark, I'll still
That's
be
the
able to
plan.
have the opportunity to sit and
of
talk
course,
with you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if anyone wants to see me, I'm humbled enough to go to it. I really don't even care, like, you know, because it's the point of connection. Like, if I talk to this person, then I'm gonna connect with their fan base and da da da. So, I'm willing. So yeah, I promise you, like, whatever you want to interview with me, like, I'll come through. I'll change my schedule for it. It's not a big deal.
Nice. Well, there you guys have it. This is So Disconnected Podcast, episode 12 with Rye Reed, the poet and author. I thank you again.
Thank you.
Peace.
Yo, it's when Tony writes. You're listening to So Disconnected Podcast. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at So Disconnected. Tap the link in our bio to select the platform of your choice. We are also available on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, the Stitcher Radio app, TuneIn Radio app, and YouTube. Thank you for listening.